Okay, I think that's going to be kind of good. Maybe just a little bit. Something like that. Okay, I gotta light this fire. Actually, I should probably check the audio first. On my other phone. Okay, let's see. Yep, sounds like it's working. Yay. Okay, I gotta light the fire. Okay, we're burning more stuff. Another good day today. Busy. Yep. Yeah, it should light up. There. All right, we're getting rid of the maple tree. Let's call this getting rid of maple tree commemoration time. Lots of little things to burn as well. Crackle, crackle. So, have to go. All right, that'll probably do for now. Chuck some wood on. Not bad. So I've got my pile of wood over here. Should probably put it over here. Luckily it's in a wagon, so I shall just drag my wagon around. Okay, it's supposed to start raining or something this evening, but so far so good. No rain. Out of the way, stump. Which is quite nice. Okay, my goal is to get rid of this wagon of wood. So it's, yeah. When it's gone, well, maybe before that if it takes too long, it'll be done for the night. Of burning stuff. There we go. Now, the only thing I wanted to actually do is turn down the brightness on here, otherwise the battery runs out real fast. Okay, that'll do. Okay, so that's that. Move that like that. Yeah, that'll probably do it, I think. Okay, back in the frame. What a day. All right, let me see. I left my computer inside, so I'm really going to be a little limited to look back on comments. It's not easy to look back on comments on a phone. Oh, David's here. Hey, David. Kathy's here. Kind of late, but I always love when you post or do a live stream. How are you guys? I'm so bored. Hi, Kathy. Doing good. Doing good. North to Hopes from Arizona. Self-quarantining. Staying safe from crazy people. Well, don't come here then. Yeah, we're all quarantining. I've talked to quite a few people, and you know, the usual topics come up about quarantine and how we all feel, and it's tough and so on and so forth. You know, it's a bit morbid, but on the other side of it, I mean, we're still talking. So let's get this fire going. Just pile wood on top randomly. Like so. Boy, cedar goes up fast. Goes up, goes down real quick. But it provides a good base for this fire to burn from. Yeah, let's go that way. So that's what I'm doing. And good old Tim Hortons cups, because you can't recycle them. Might as well burn them. Let's see. So hopefully everybody's doing well. I mean, yeah, being bored is par for the course in some cases. You know, if you got nothing to do, can't go anywhere and stuff, it's easy to get bored. I don't necessarily have too much of a problem with being bored, but isolations are, you know, it's a funny thing. I was talking to a friend of mine, and we were talking about sort of this idea of self-isolation, forced quarantine sort of thing. And even though I don't live an overly social life, I certainly don't go out very often and all that kind of stuff. Let's see. I'm feeling my there. You know, I'm good with that. I'm quite happy. I've got a lot of things that I want to work on, goals and interesting sort of projects that I work on, and hobbies, piles of hobbies. And so it's all right. But this idea, I think it's much more just psychological, of the idea that you can't do something that affects us, that has us struggle. I mean, in many cases, obviously, it's being stuck inside. I was talking to a friend. I said, you know, if I was stuck in an apartment, I wouldn't like it. But I'm on 5 acres with 9 horses and about a cajillion projects to do, including burn this maple up, get it out of here. And we've got a lot. I mean, there's a lot of wood here. I'm not going to run. If anybody's like, well, you should save it for next winters. You have to trust me. I have absolutely no shortage of wood. All I got to do is just find one of the 4 or 5 100-foot cedar trees that have fallen down. Yeah, a lot of wood. Amongst maples and birch and stuff. It's, yeah, there's no, I'm not worried. Anyway, so I'm lucky I get to have these. So I gotta switch my microphone because I need to take my jacket off. It's lovely warm now. It was cold, now I'm warm. So, okay. So in that regard, I'm always going to be busy. I don't get to have days where I get to just relax or something, because there's always work to do. But on the flip side, we've got this. But it's psychological. You kind of think, you know, I have to be alone, or I have to be isolated. I have to not have people around, and I have to stay away from other people. That's psychological. And in some countries, you really, really can't go anywhere. At least here, we're sort of self-imposed. a lot of people go for walks, to take walks and just stay away from other people, don't touch things and stuff like that. And I'm sure that, I mean, based on the way the rest of the world is going, and rules that are being imposed in many places, there'll be stricter rules about going anywhere. But that, I think that'll mainly apply to more city people. Country people will just go on with life almost the same, tending their yard or farm or garden or animals. Somebody wrote a comment. They said, you know, I can't remember. They're somewhere in the States, and they had said something like, here in wherever they were, they're used to tornadoes coming in. So tornado world, wherever that is in the States. Sorry, I'm not more knowledgeable in that, in the geographical sections of the States that get particular weather anomalies. We never get tornadoes here, so yeah, we've got it good. No tornadoes, no hurricanes, no earthquakes. Pretty safe place to live. So we don't have to prepare, but she had written, you know, we're very well prepared. We've always got tons of supplies, food and water, and a place to shelter and bunker down, and all kinds of stuff like that. And she had essentially written, she can't, it's amazing watching all these other people who have never even thought to ever prepare. And I'm one of those people, partially. I've never really think to prepare per se. I don't go about making sure I'm always stocked up on stuff. I'm sort of like, oh, I need some groceries. I better go buy them now. Fridge is bare, sort of deal. So, but I did manage to get out to the stores and for the weeks upcoming to now, and just buy a few things at once, and just things that I think I wanted, and put them in the freezer or the cupboard or the pantry kind of idea. I'll eat these in a couple of weeks or something. So far so good. It's stressful. I mentioned in the last live stream, I think, that forced to shut down here. So there will be no new lessons, no new clients, kind of idea. So that's a big deal. So you think about that part, and in this world around, I'm not feeling sorry for me, like, oh, I'm hard done by. But it's just something I factor into daily life. To go about doing things that you feel a little bit, you know, heavier. You feel like, oh, geez, hope I can do this, hope I can, and so on and so forth. But I have a lot of hope. I have a lot of positivity. Talk about that. Everybody that I talk to, there are a lot of very, very smart people working very, very hard to get this figured out. And I think it's going to happen. I think that, you know, as time goes on, I mean, I just recently discovered that the first occurrence or the discovery of the coronavirus was on actually my birthday. The very first discovery was on November 17th, which is my birthday. And I thought, wow, that's kind of neat. But more than that, I thought, okay, so December, January, February, March, we're a little past 4 months from first discovery. And here we are. So. Oh, I've got some comments coming through. Lisa's here. Hello, Lisa. North to Hope says, we live on 1.25 acres with a horse and 2 goats, so actual life is pretty normal here. I'm always stocked up for at least 2 months. Been gardening and watching the news, not going to visit my kids, though. Exactly. I mean, that's just it. There's plenty of people. There are plenty of people who are already prepped, but that's farm life compared to city life sort of thing, and I think. So it's good. Not being able to visit kids sucks. Kathy says, what do your horses do all night? They eat. They eat and poop a lot. Eat a lot and poop a lot, and then they eat some more and poop some more. Drink some water, pee, then have a poo, eat some more. Kind of like that, Kathy. No, horses will doze. They'll doze even in the evening if they have another horse here around them, or feel safe enough. I actually have a video that I'm probably going to try to put up tonight. I know I'm getting kind of weird with however many sleeping videos I'm putting up, but today's a good one. So I hope to put that up a little later. Stand back up. And so they'll have a good rest and a good nap when it's daytime and everybody's around all together in the arena and it's a big group and they're happy. Relatively. Don't burn yourself, stupid. Ooh. Over the past 4 or 5 days, I think I've burnt off half of my arm hairs. Guess you guys can tell which way the wind's going. Ooh. Okay. Let's sit back over here for a minute. What kind of horse and how old? Yes, North to Hope. What kind of horse and how old? Oh, there you are. Penny's here. Hello, Penny. Welcome back. An Arab gelding. Had him since 2003. A friend gave him to me. He'll be 17. Lived here for 3 years. That's cool. There's still a lot of people taking it lightly, going camping, to church, karaoke at the bar, pancake breakfast, fundraisers. They're playing Russian roulette. That is nuts. I don't actually know for sure, but I've heard there are people who, up until they actually started completely closing down playgrounds in the parks, there were families of kids just all over the place. And it's proven that this particular virus can stay on slippery surfaces, metals, plastics, for quite some time, and can be contagious for it, obviously, because they're slippery surfaces, they're non-sticky surfaces. Stickier surfaces might be things like wood or cloth. Those are stickier surfaces. And supposedly they're less contagious. It doesn't last as long. I'm not anybody who has studied this or has the data on hand, so don't take my word for it, but it's what I've read, and I believe it, for the most part, makes good sense scientifically. Ooh, there's a moth. Don't come this way. So, yeah, playing in playgrounds and running around on slides and all kinds of stuff. People taking it lightly is interesting. I had to go and redo my insurance for my truck, and I'd left it to the last minute because I'm totally responsible like that. And I go in and the lady's there and she's got gloves on. And I go to pay and she hands me the machine, or I got to use my Visa, and you can't use tap for anything over $100. Obviously, truck insurance is over $100. So I was like, "You're gonna hand me a machine. Has this thing been cleaned lately?" She goes, "We clean it once an hour." I said, "Once an hour? It should be cleaned after every single use." "Oh, well, that's not our protocol." I said, "Okay." So I essentially just touched it with my knuckle, just in case. And then she's like, "Can you sign here?" I'm like, "With what pen? Are you serious?" So, but she didn't know anything. She says, "Well, why do you seem so nervous?" I said, "Well, because I think I know too much. And I don't know if ISIS is going to show up, but let's see. A lot of comments coming. Anyhow, I said, I think I know too much. I've got friends who I talk to regularly that know more than I do even, and I study an awful lot. And I said, these are the things that are proven or shown, the data is there to support it, about surfaces, about length of time, contagious, the length of it being contagious, and how. She says, some people say that it isn't airborne. Do you think it's airborne? And she asked me as if she firmly believed it wasn't airborne. She's like, "This just sounds stupid. What do you mean airborne?" kind of thing. And nothing, no insult to her whatsoever. I think that some people have been talking to her and just sort of conveying that disbelief. And I said, yeah, oh yeah, it's airborne, 100% airborne virus. She took my word for it, interestingly. I believe she took my word for it. She appeared to, which was kind of good. You know, maybe I made a difference with one person who might make a difference to a few more people that she talks to. Maybe she's a little bit more careful. I don't know. So yeah, people taking it lightly, I think, are just misinformed or choosing. I mean, plenty of people on Facebook also, I'm so tired of all this negativity. Let's be positive and write some, just post your third picture in your phone or something like that. You kind of think, negative, eh? Negative. This isn't negative. It's a sharing of good knowledge, and it sucks, but it's real. Knowledge is power. But I appreciate that it's overwhelming, especially if that's all you do is pay attention to headlines and stuff. All right, I'm gonna look back at my phone. Who's here? Jessica's here. Hello, Jessica. If you're asking me, I'm doing good. Good, I'm doing well. Ginley Bus here. Horse to Hope says people need to change their protocol. Absolutely. Especially having to sign a piece of paper nowadays. I mean, I literally just scribbled. I don't sign anything with any reliability, and nobody cares. Because how are they going to verify it anyway? She's not looking at it to verify my signature. So it was dumb. I don't think signing anything is of any use anymore. But you got it. It's a contract, so you got to sign it. Kathy had a heart horse. They can stay on surfaces, but with time, the amount of virus not dangerous, what I've heard. Yeah, absolutely. I think that, I mean, I've heard a lot of information about how the sun is very effective. The UV rays, not the heat, is very effective. So if you touch stuff that's outside, it's a sunny day, it's really not going to last long. I think they're more thinking about places that are inside. And I would imagine that because the virus doesn't have a cell to replicate on, it quickly dies off. Nothing to eat, right? So it's got to die. It has to die. Yeah. Kathy says, I'm in a condo on the beach. Oh, poor Kathy. Not a soul allowed to walk or sit because beach closed. Surreal. I would imagine. I mean, part of my video today was actually, I went out onto the road and there's, you know, like one truck went by. And it was kind of funny because most of the morning I was out doing, and I finally got the camera and it was just silent. And when I went to go take video, that's when like 3 cars went by, but it's so minimal. It's so quiet. I mean, it's really nice, to be honest. It's lovely, I gotta admit. If the day comes that I ever become successful and I can make some money, enough that I could move to a bigger place, I don't know if I could do, I think I could do that, but you definitely wouldn't be on a main, I mean, this place is a great location, don't get me wrong, but I would definitely want a little more quiet. Ginlipa says, how clueless that woman was. Virus is in the moisture you breathe out. Well, it's a funny thing. That's what we were commenting on how people take it lightly. And it must be, it has to be. Logic dictates that there is a lack of understanding and or knowledge on the topic. And for a lot of people, it's overwhelming. And that's real. That's normal. That can be for so many things. People that need to do their taxes, people that need to save money, people that need to one day save money to buy a house because, you know, when you get older, you don't want to be renting, for example. Thinking that far ahead is hard for, or relationships, or raising a child, or figuring out what you're going to eat for dinner for the next 6 days. Like, who wants to meal plan? I don't want a meal plan. Like, nah, I got other things to think about. Higher priorities. I'll figure out the meal on the day of. That's common. Be overwhelmed, you know? So clueless is true. You know, she's not got enough people around her, possibly, that are providing the information she needs. And I mean, I've talked to other people, and you just think, don't don't concentrate on the conspiracies. Don't concentrate on the weird, stuff about whether it's made in China and all that other crap. Like that's not the stuff to wander off to. Let's just discuss some science. Being the science nerd that I am. Okay, this fire's going great. I'm really happy with this maple. It's burning like a champ. Champ. Okay, what do we got? Looks like people are filling up the chat, which is wonderful. Count rice grains, North of Hope. Kathy, sounds like you got a new view. Shove photography or count rice grains. Ugh. Yeah, I can watch grass grow and paint dry. Penny says, I'm trying to save supplies and order delivery or pickup from local restaurants. Wear gloves, take my own pen. Smart. I never even thought about it when I got there. Wash my hands and face when I return. I do. I always wash my hands when I get back, and I put my phone down for 2 hours. I leave it alone, hoping that it'll just, if I did happen to get anything on there, it'll die off. Feel sorry and worry about small business. Yeah, this is a small business. I worry for others. I know other people, but do what you can. So I don't have any answers for that. I know I'm working on my own answers, but I don't have any answers for so many people, and many people who are paycheck to paycheck, many people who are what we call blue collar, just workers, just going about their life. They've got a job, but they're not really invested in it. It's not a learning thing. It's just a job. Kids as well, lots of late teens, early 20s kids that have, possibly got their very first job and now they have no job. So Allison's here. Hello, Allison. How's Gracie and yourself? Good. Jersey shut bars and clubs. Now we're only going to shop and stand 1 meter apart. Yep. Restaurants are open around here for pickup or delivery, but you can't go in. But I got to admit, even if I go pick up a coffee, I don't drink from the cup they give me. I carefully flick the top off and I dump it into a mug that I bring, and I drink from that. Coffee shops that I've been to, well, mainly Tim Hortons, which is our local major coffee shop, I guess. They usually wear gloves, which is good. Hopefully they're not touching their face or sneezing on them. But I always feel a little worried. Jessica says, I'm taking it seriously. For instance, I dread even having to go to the store for supplies. Yeah, me too. When I said I went to London Drugs. If you don't know what that is, it used to be just a drugstore. That's why it's called London Drugs. But now it's turned into an electronics shop, grocery shop, makeup, and photos, and car insurance. Yeah, it's crazy. Got a lot of stuff in there. And they have for a while, but I think originally it was just a pharmacy. And I went in there and I was like, rolling the dice, maybe. We're way out here. It's hard to say. There haven't been any confirmed cases this far out. I don't know. But it's always in your head. Which means it's working. The media is doing its job, and people are doing their job of spreading this information and making us worried and nervous. And I bet more people live for it. So, Kathy says, wish I had my horses in my backyard. My home is Ohio, and I wanted to go back as scheduled, wondering if domestic flights might be in jeopardy. Yeah, I would not get on an airplane, Kathy. Don't do that. No, don't get on an airplane. Can you drive? Ohio. From where? Florida? Where did you say you were? Fort Myers. Where is that? Florida? Sorry, I'm so ignorant. Well, she had horses in your backyard? Yeah, I mean, every day. I mean, when I did the live stream this morning, the horses running around. I mean, you guys can see me doing chores every day. I know I'm going to be doing chores, and there's some peace and quiet for sure. I put some music in my ears some of the time, and then I just think of things. You know, it's quiet. You can hug horses as you got hug them all. I think I usually hug them all. I don't hug Ruli, I don't think, because she's a little standoffish. I don't want her to bite me. Um, it is in virtually every country. It is. That's proof how contagious it is. It's incredibly contagious. It's a very contagious virus. It's nuts. But I was talking to somebody today about it, and we were talking about, you know, as a scientist. I mean, I bet there are scientists out there that have no emotional sort of how do you put it? Like no emotional attachment to this problem, and to them, it's just pure science. And I would imagine for that type, this kind of thing is absolutely fascinating. They would stay awake at night, wondering the scientific portion of it. You know, what is it? What causes it? How does it work? Why does it do it this way? Where did it come from? Why did it come from that place? How does it morph? It's what they call a slippery virus, right? So it has a couple strains so far, and they're expecting more. So even if you kind of pin it down and have some kind of vaccine for it, it doesn't mean it's going to apply to all the strains. So, and then the other problem is we don't have it, you know. So I guess you guys probably already know this stuff. Where are we? Yeah, he's not complaining. No, I don't think you're complaining. I'm sorry if I came across, oh, poor cat. Yeah, I'm sure that is a very comfortable place. It's a good view, but I'm 100% behind you. Where I say when I go and I look out on the road out front, and I think this is weird, you know, and yeah, so many places are closed down. You go to drive places, there's very little traffic, which is a benefit. It's a good thing, but at the same time, it's weird. See, I provide an essential service as well because I trim horses around the lower mainland here. But everybody I've encountered so far in regards to this is highly cautious. And I had some great advice from Isis. She says, you know, when you go trim any horses, do it outside. Don't go in the barn, and don't touch any part of the barn. Just touch the horse. And it's true. As long as the owner keeps their space, I've got gloves on. I'm just touching the horse. We have good conversation. It's great. Yeah. So yeah. All right. Next comment, Penny. And I'm 9 minutes behind. 9 minutes behind. This is from Penny at 9 o'clock. Love how you set up live video, then go about your business to check in. So much fun. Thanks, Penny. I mean, I'll try to do that as often as I can. Obviously, when it's raining, it's not really going to be a good possibility. But every opportunity I have, I'll chuck a phone up, let it be. You guys can hopefully, you know, put the horses up on the TV and just have it running. Listen to the birds, listen to the horses snort and run around and all kinds of stuff. I love being able to share this place. And the public shutdown, obviously, is in a way isolating. It's not like a lot of people came here to come check it out, but some people did. So that's cut off completely, other than a few people kind of idea, which is fine. And so being able to share it before and now, I think now it has so much more value. So thanks, Penny, for saying that, and I'm glad. Yeah. Lisa's here. Hello, Lisa. Only place I need to go is the barn, 10 miles from my house to clean stalls, spend time with my horses. So glad to live in the country, have my horses to keep me busy. Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest complaints when I talk to my friends is that, and you guys have sort of mirrored that here, is having cabin fever or being bored. And my friends as well, you know, well, I don't know what to do. I'm bored. I don't have a job anymore. What am I hearing? Hang on a second. Just give me 2 seconds. I thought I heard some crackling, like something is breaking. That can't be. Well, I don't know. Just horses walking around. Changed roommates around here. I'll see if I can't do a horsey check tomorrow for you guys and fill you in on what's going on. I got one coming tonight, and it's not up to date what the end plan has been. Let's see. So yeah, absolutely. Having something, I mean, horses are perfect. Somebody's snorting. Because you have to be busy. You can't not take care of them. It's not like a cat that you can just stick out a whole bag of food and they're good for a week. Massive bowl of water and a big bag of food and they'll be good. They don't care. They're unless you got a huge pasture, I suppose. Yeah. But in captivity, got to clean up, got to feed them, got to water them, got to check them for injuries because they're idiots. Horses injure themselves. I mean, mine haven't quite some time. It's quite nice. But they used to. North to Hope says, Harry Whitney's ranch in Arizona is for sale. I think, Kathy, she's telling you to move to Arizona. North to Hope says, I like your campfire chat. Thought of doing that. Haven't made a video in almost a year. Go for it. Campfire chats, I mean, everybody likes to look at fire, don't they? I love fire. I love fire in a controlled state. For me, it's warm, smells good. It's an uplifting feeling. Even if I wasn't sitting here talking to the phone, the whole interweb, I would just kind of watch the coals burn and ponder some creative ideas that I've got. Write some notes, maybe. Lisa lives in Oregon, Kathy. There you go. Sue says, had a friend we tried to do a food and could not get a date, but her order for vodka came the same day. What? Did you write everything? Did you drink the vodka? And then now you're writing? What do you tried to do a food date? Maybe is that what you meant to say? Yeah. Or vodka came the same day. I think, so North to Hope saying to Kathy about domestic flights. It was interesting, actually. I was out today and, I mean, I think I said it last time. There are no airplanes flying over top of this place anymore. I mean, other than the little ones that are probably privately owned, but the airlines, you know, those aren't flying around anymore. And I saw 2 of them. And we were all looking up at the sky going, holy cow, there's an airplane in the sky. And it was weird to even care. You know, 17 hours. Yeah, Penny says don't get on an airplane, Kathy. My daughter wants to come down and drive me back. If I wear a mask and gloves, I'm thinking I'd be okay. Go with your daughter, Kathy. Take a drive. I don't know. I'd say that I wouldn't. I would do the drive. But then you got to buy groceries anyways. A 17-hour drive? That's not that bad. That's not that bad. Penny says, Sue, use vodka to disinfect inside and out. Har, har, har. Ginley Bus says, really seems to ask to go out in the arena most of the time, but just seems to dislike being too close to anyone. Yeah, really is incredibly antisocial. She wasn't social in the beginning. Somewhere in the middle, she got social. And then she's become antisocial again. Once in a while, when she's when she's in heat, she likes the boys. she'll search them out. But she's pretty ornery. And so she doesn't draw any of the other horses, and in fact chases most of them off. You'll see in a video, hopefully tonight. It's only 9:15 here, so I got lots of time. But you'll see in a video I'll put up a little later. I'm sort of partway through editing, which really is just making sure that the footage is good and audio is good, because it's a two-take video, which means there's two different clips I put together. And so I'm just verifying it's all good, put it together, check audio, and then render it out and put it up on YouTube. So I'm halfway through that. And there's this one part where Ruli had actually walked over to Rue, who was lying down, and then screamed at him. You can imagine poor little Rue. He feels like a little toddler stuck in a big body. He's such a cautious, careful, kind, sort of innocent horse. And Ruli comes over, gives him a sniff, and just screams at him as if he's laying down in the wrong spot in this, 20,000 square foot area. Poor guy. Anyhow, you'll see that later. Angie's here. Hello, Angie. Dr. Amy Acton signed a stay-at-home order for the state of Ohio Sunday. That order closes non-essential businesses. And just like that, I became an essential employee. What do? Do you work for, orthopedic surgeon? Wow. Put live on TV. What a good idea. I mean, a lot of people have, I've had, who sent me a picture? Somebody sent me, sorry if I don't remember. I get a lot of messages and my memory is not fantastic for little things like this. Who was it though? It's going to bug me. Anyways, I got this picture of somebody's dog watching the live, was it a live stream? I think it was a live stream on their TV, a big, huge TV. And it looked amazing. It looked really, really good. But the dog was so intent on watching. She says whenever Luke is on screen, the dog takes huge notice. That's cute. How adorable. So, Kathy worries about healthcare providers. I know a few healthcare providers, and I worry as well. There was an article out there that some nurses were refusing to do coronavirus swabs because they weren't given any safety gear. Masks, I think, were the issue. So they're like, no, we're not doing this. You kidding? I don't want to catch this. So yeah, they had to. Hello, Brenda. Zeus is inside. It's past 8 o'clock. He just sleeps. He's an old dog. He might come out. Sometimes, even in the evening, he'll pop out a little, but it's cold for him, I think. I don't know. But I think more than anything, he can't really see. He's having trouble hearing. So when it's this dark and he can't really get around and stuff, and in the summertime, he might, yeah, but usually he just stays inside and has a sleep and stuff. Penny says, did you switch out Rue and Skip? So surprised they didn't share food. They groom each other in the arena. I still think Skip was trying to get rid of Rue here with water play. It's a good idea, yeah. That's a good one. And then he just found it fun, so he kept doing it. I did switch out Rue and Skip. I'll put it in a video tomorrow as well, because not very many people come to the live chat. But I took out Rue, put him alone, brought in Peggy. Skip was unhappy with that after a little bit. They did okay in the beginning, and I kept a sharp eye on things. And then he just was angry, it seems, and he just kept kicking Peggy out of the shelter so she couldn't eat. I was like, forget it. This guy doesn't get along with anybody. So, I mean, it's just too small. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, in the forest, there's 2 shelters for a reason. I understand a lot of horses don't want to share. It is more unusual to see horses share than to see them not share. So there's no harm, no foul with the guy. He's 20. He's lived a life where he hasn't had constant food. He's going to defend it. He's not going to really want to share because it's in his nature. It's not. It's normal. So I don't think anything bad about him. Other than that, I can't put him with anybody. So I ended up putting Rue in with Peggy. But like I said, Rue's a gentleman. He's a cautious sort, a little bit of a toddler inside. So he's very, very careful. And he wasn't interested in trying to share with Peggy. He just stayed away and kept the peace, even though I didn't observe Peggy ever telling him to get out of there. So, horsey politics. So I took Rue out and switched him with Ohana because Peggy's always a bay sandwich between her and Luke. Figured they'd get along, and they've been doing fantastic. Rue's next door, skips a couple of paddocks down, and if this works out well, then we might see one more horse here. So we give it a couple of days, see how it goes. Kathy's saying 17. I'm sure you're responding to my question of how many hours to drive. It's a long way. Kathy, I drove from BC to Mexico. It's 25 hours or something. We made a 22-hour drive. I think it was about 22. No, it couldn't have been. I don't think I would have stayed awake that long. It's close to 20 though. I was a lot younger. I don't think I'd do that again. It's a long way. I totally get it. Air quality is as good as after 9/11. Oh man, there are a lot of little memes or theories or whatever of how this kind of thing, this kind of virus or something like that, is sort of Mother Nature kicking in and coming up with something that gets rid of the virus that's infecting it, which is us. If you guys have ever seen, oh God, what's it called? The Matrix, right? And there's this part in the beginning, it's a popular part. It gets quoted all the time. And it's essentially one of the characters commenting on how humans, no. It was farther on. Maybe it wasn't in the first one. That doesn't matter. But one of the characters was commenting on how humans are a virus that has infected the planet and just keeps replicating and using up everything that it inhabits and then leaves it dead and moves on to the next thing, which is true. Humans are a virus to the planet Earth. So, so there's some theories out there on how maybe this is just nature saying, okay, humans, we gotta thin you out or something. You're way too resilient to these hurricanes and tornadoes and earthquakes I'm throwing at you. How about another virus? Good luck. And of course, humans we're smart. We'll persevere. The strongest virus ever. Mankind. I don't know about all that. I'm just repeating what I'm reading. Okay. So yeah, air quality is way better. No planes in the sky. People don't drive so much. Less things are being produced. Far less. Kathy says, I have to stay in a hotel to break the trip up, and that would be bad too. Exactly. So you got to sleep in your car. Take turns driving. It'll be fun. It'll be a road trip. It's one day. Who cares? Live life on the edge, Kathy. Just kidding. I'm kidding. Do what you feels best. Maybe really feels physically vulnerable, weaker than the other. Horses, she keeps a distance. Maybe like some humans, they just do not like touch. Yeah, I'm not going to, make assumptions or, guess on exactly what Ruli's thing is. I just don't know. Yeah. I think she might feel physically vulnerable. Yeah, I think they all do, but yeah, really isn't particularly strong per se. But she sure screams a lot. I mean, she sometimes chases. I mean, she chased Rue away. She'll chase horses away. So I'm not sure. Yeah, she's pretty defensive. I was an RN. I took care of AIDS patients when others would not, but AIDS not as contagious. I've heard a lot of super sad stories about AIDS. Um, there was a story I read, and it was something along the lines of a gay person was in a hospital. So I don't know if anybody's going to correct me here, kind of thing. So I'm going from memory. And none of the nurses would take care of this person because they figured they would uh, catch AIDS and stuff like that. And they were very biased against gay people as well. So this person was just left alone. And somebody had come in to visit somebody else, and this person was behind closed, or a nurse had come out practically with a hazmat suit on. It was ridiculous. Well, who's in there? Oh, guy with AIDS. Well, does he have any family? No, his mother says that she has disowned him and she never visits. So he's alone. Disowned him for obvious reasons back at that time. And so that person visited and stayed with that man until he died. And he didn't have any money and he didn't have any way to have a burial or something along those lines. And so this person put on a fundraiser to raise money for people that were in the hospital that didn't have anybody. And it was highly successful and goes on to this day. And I can't, for the life of me, recall what that foundation is or whatever it is. Maybe somebody can help me out. But it was a real touching story. I was just quite sad that a parent would ever disown a child. I'm not in a position to ever feel that or think that at this point in time, so can't relate at all. I thought, that's terrible, especially for something like that. Yeah, AIDS isn't contagious much at all, so. Skip seems to really like Gracie. Yeah, Skip does seem to like Gracie. Who's rooming with Gracie? Same horse has been rooming with Gracie for a while. It's Luke down in the forest. I haven't put them anywhere. So now that I know Skip has never had 24 access to food, things begin to make sense. Penny, it is super uncommon that horses grow up having access to food all the time, especially in captivity. What's going on over there? Thumpy thump thump. So when they get 24 access, it generally can take years for them to be confident or feel good about having it, and the consistency wears off. Macaroni is a great example. I think that he has had a good upbringing. I know the girl that I bought him from. She's a very good person. And so I think he's had a pretty good. And then I'm not entirely sure about Lena, but she had a pretty good life, but I don't know about feeding schedule. But they share great. Luke's generally a pretty good sharer because he's been with me most of his life. And he knows that food is mostly always there. But yeah, when I get in the ones that haven't had food in their life, they tend to hoard and protect because they don't feel like they can rely on the fact the food's going to be there. It takes a while to change that, but when they do, man, they sure get peaceful. Real peace and quiet. Angie says Rue's a part halflinger. I don't know, maybe. I wish we could, if his owner would would spring for a DNA test. That would be cool. Maybe Skip was angry about Piggy pooping in the shelter. She hadn't pooped yet. But, you know, I wonder about that all the time. Because Nanner's going to be a total mess. But Piggy's kind of a mess too. So I think tomorrow I'm going to be cleaning the shelter like crazy. So, but I can't help it. I think some horses can teach other horses good habits and bad habits in regards to that. So if one of them never poops in the shelter and the other doesn't, they should kick him or bite him. I don't know what he got mad at Piggy about. He's just defensive about his food, I think. Kathy says, I drove from San Antonio to Columbus almost straight through as an idiotic 20-something. More than 24 hours. Never again. Yeah, that's nuts. That's a long time. Kathy, I can't ever offend you. That's awesome. A wicked sense of humor. You're laughing. I like jokes. I have a pretty good sense of humor. Kathy says, when I was an RN in the 80s, I remember taking care of HIV patients and everyone was scared. There was no real treatment back then, and it was caused by a virus that was for life. Yeah, you know, and the funny thing is, not funny thing, sort of the interesting thing is now as we go through this COVID-19 virus, we'll be telling this story 10 years from now, maybe less, about how everybody was scared and plenty of people died. We got it worked out. AIDS epidemic was sad. Hard time. Yep, I agree, Penny. Lisa says, we have a 5-year-old Mustang mare at our barn. She reminds me of Gracie. And Gracie approaches Skip sometimes. She does. Today's video will be a little bit interesting. Maybe. What happened today, actually? Well, maybe not. No, today's live video was interesting, actually. And then my normal video, I take a normal camera and get closer and zoom in and all that stuff. I'll put up later. Today was after that live stream, after all chores, turned it off, had lunch, came back out, and there's a pile of them sleeping. So that's where the video picks up from. It's pretty good. It's nice. It's nice to be around. So, but yeah, Gracie does approach Skip sometimes. Would they get along? Could they go together? I don't know. To be honest, I actually think Gracie's quite a good get-along horse. Like she's willing to be friends with almost any horse. I mean, she's almost bottom of the rung around here. I'm not sure if it's her or Rue. Sometimes she goes and tells Rue where to go. But I think Rue just keeps the peace. If he really needed to, he could probably tell Gracie to take off. She's a lot of bluster until it doesn't work. No frogs tonight. Yeah, last night's frogs were crazy. It was so loud. Still early, though. I don't think they started up until about 11 o'clock. 10:30 or something. Kathy says, Skip is top horse, isn't he? Yes, Kathy, he is top horse. The interesting thing when I watch him is every once in a while he'll let another horse sort of push him a bit, or he'll make some space. Today he did it with Luke. Luke was telling him to get away from his two girls. And Skip kind of obliged a bit. I mean, he didn't look very happy about it, but he kind of just kept the peace and didn't start a fight. But when he wants to fire off, he will. He's quite secure in his strength and power, speed. It's kind of cool. I like that about him. He doesn't go about flexing his muscle too much. Once in a while, he'll sort of he appears to sort of organize everybody so they're not arguing about stuff. send some horses off so they're less noisy, which I think is a sign of a good leader. But overall, nobody pushes him. Ugh, I don't know why I'm yawning. It's still early. It's like 9:30. So. I put the ball in the, I just saw a comment from Denise over on a normal video, but I put the ball in the arena today with the horses for the live video. And she says, well, take some of the air out of the ball. And Peggy was already trying to bite it. I feel like if I were to take air out of the ball so it doesn't roll around so much, it would be a little bit flat, and then they would just bite it, and then that would be that. I like that ball. I don't want it to be popped. Can you guys hear the fire? I mean, if I sit closer. I don't know. There. Put it on a stick. Is that gonna work? That's not gonna work. A thinner stick. Of course, it's gonna flick off and go into the fire, isn't it? You guys can hear that. The sound of the fire is nice. A little bit of hiss, a little bit of water in some of the wood, so it hisses. Mostly it's just the sound of fire. Well, Kathy, I might give that a go just to see what happens. I could put him in the forest and trade out Luke. There's something going on down there. Oh, microphone's getting hot. Take it away from the fire. Put it back on me. Hello, Brenda. I wonder if sharing food issues are key to sharing paddock. He might need more time. I agree. He probably needs more time. He's only been here, what, a month and a half? In the grand scheme of things, it's very little. Very, very little. You know, it's the reason he's here, and it's a common problem. Horses get what some people call food aggressive. Whenever I hear food aggressive, I hear starving. Because horses' stomachs don't work like ours do. Where ours will make acid when we eat so that it gets neutralized by the food and saliva. Horses' stomachs make acid all the time, and as such, they need food all the time. So despite that they might not be starving per se, but they might feel like their stomach really hurts because it's full of acid, because they haven't eaten for 8 hours and their stomach has been empty. So whenever I hear food aggressive, I think ulcers, pain, too much acid, possible starvation at a minor level, meaning like day-to-day starvation, not overall starvation. Which I think is very stressful. I know I would feel stressed out if I was in a place that had controlled feedings and I only got fed once a day or twice a day, and they were small meals and they didn't really fill me up, and when they were done, they were gone. There's no food in sight. If somebody showed up with a plate of food, I'd be pretty keen to eat it, hoping to stay alive another day. And I'd probably beat off anybody that wanted to eat it instead of me. I also wonder if having food in his belly is part of the reason he is comfortable laying down. Isn't it uncomfortable for a horse to lay down with an empty stomach? Yes, Penny, excellent point. Horses that don't lay down or don't roll, rolling is even worse. So the way the horse's stomach is built, it's kind of shaped, it's about the size and shape of a football. It's sort of a weird shape, but just imagine it's about the size and shape of a football. Maybe a little bigger. And 2/3 of the bottom half, so the bottom half, so 2/3 of the stomach, the bottom 2/3 is lined. So it's lined with a protective lining that protects the stomach like we have. We have a stomach lining, protects the stomach itself, the organ, from getting burnt by the acid. But the top third isn't. So a horse that's been starving for 8 to 10 hours, for example, if you feed a horse at say 6 o'clock, a couple of flakes, it might take a couple hours for it to eat. A couple hours maybe or so, this is an ash, a couple hours for it to digest and move through its system out of its stomach into its intestines. And then maybe you don't feed again until 6, so 12 hours, right? So we've got 4 hours, 4 to 5 hours of eating and digesting. Well, there's still another 7 of nothing being in there. 6 maybe? Let's just say it's even 6 hours. And that's a 6 o'clock feeding. So that acid builds up and builds up, and any movement will have it slosh around. So 100%, a horse lying down or going sideways, especially, which now that I think on it a little bit more for Skip, maybe lying down doesn't feel quite that good to him, or in the past it hasn't. Now he's like, oh, I don't want to lie down. No, wait, oh, it's actually okay. So maybe we can replace some memories there and he'll feel better. But anyway, so yeah, they won't lie down because that acid will just slosh over into the unprotected parts, where plenty of horses have ulcers, sores on their stomach that are even further more painful when acid splashes up. So a horse may not run around much. A horse may not want to jump. It won't want to be cinched up. It won't lay down and roll. It won't, especially not roll over. That would be probably quite painful. The joy from scratching or itching their back would quickly go away. So good point, Penny. So yeah, I always try to have food. I did a video a long ways back about before riding a horse, make sure they've got a handful of hay in their stomach, and free access to water can help a lot. Ooh. Well, Brenda, she says, how's Gracie's feet? Are they 100%? They're not 100% yet. I did a video not too long ago where I'd pointed out, I think her fronts are in terrific condition, and one of her back feet is probably about 90%, 95%, but the other one still, I'd probably rate it at about 70%. I may boot one more time, but I'm hoping that I can trim to relieve the stuff that's stuck in there. And I won't have to boot, because booting is expensive. But it's not just that it's expensive, that's that it just costs money, because I already have the glue and the gun. I need to buy more boots because she wrecks the boots naturally. But I'd like for her feet to grow out, because booting can sometimes cause other issues. For example, when I booted her in the last ones, her frogs ended up getting bruised. And the hoof walls sort of get bound up a little bit because they grow at a pretty decent rate, and you would have to keep changing that boot reasonably often enough that it's a bit stressful on the walls. And again, kind of costly. So everything factored in. She is not showing any lameness or observable pain per se, but I can tell that, I mean, when I trim her, I can tell that it's not 100% yet. And these are the hardest ones to deal with. Stuff that has been long stuck in the sole of the foot and the bar of the foot. Those ones are the hardest to clear out and clean out, because they're constantly putting stuff back in, essentially. So just keep working at it bit by bit, maintaining. She's coming along nice. But thanks for asking. Ah! Stand up, move around. Okay. What else we got? I'm actually running out of wood in this wagon. It's incredible. I've got 4 pieces left. A bunch of junk. Wood chips and stuff. There we go. My phone turned off. Lisa says, our horses get fed at 6 at night, but the owner of the barn sometimes doesn't feed till 10. Is that dangerous for the horses? Well, how are they fed, Lisa? What do they get? What do they get? And how do they get it? $16. Isis is here. Hello, Isis. I've been thinking about the types of horses that teach you the most. Oh, yeah. I can only imagine why you think that stuff. I think about it a lot, too. Some horses don't teach me much at all. And some horses teach me a lot. Lisa says, hay at 10 a.m., grain and hay at 6 p.m. Sorry, what I mean, Lisa, is when they get hay, how do they get it? Like, do they get it on the floor? Is it 1 flake, 2 flake, 3 flakes? Like, how much hay? I'm not sure what you mean by grain. What's in the grain? How is it fed? Quantity and way of feeding is what I'm looking for. So how about that topic? What types of horses teach us the most? Well, for me, the types of horses that teach me the most have become the more wild ones. Gracie has taught me quite a bit. That Mustang that was here exponentially taught me. Domesticated ones, not so much. But I have another that I work with, or I haven't worked with in a couple of weeks now because of this virus stuff. I don't want to go to another barn. But he was teaching me patience even more than I already feel like I have. But sort of techniques and methods that I can use in succession. So ways to get a horse to move around and or trust and be responsive. To continue working with their mind, to keep them active and thinking. And with me. So this horse that essentially he bucks everybody off. I only tried to ride him once, and I didn't even get my body on properly without him just shooting off. So I didn't try again yet. But he's teaching me signs. Like I feel like I'm reading more of the signs of being ready or not ready, and then some of the things that work for him that help him get more ready. The idea to be soft or the idea to be firm, the timing of each of those, reassurance is so important. So there's times where I think I know something and then it gets confirmed or reaffirmed through some of these more difficult horses, these scared ones that can't handle life, it seems, at least life with humans. Okay, did we get an answer from Lisa? Not yet. A distillery in Kentucky started to make hand sanitizer. Yeah, great idea. It's primarily alcohol anyways. Two flakes at 10 and 6 in feeders, but they usually toss it on the ground. Orchard grass. Grains are oats, sunflower mixture with aloe, and canola oil at 6. Two flakes at 10, and then the next at 6. Well, Lisa, it's the best way to put this. I really want to be nice about it, but if I were to be honest, I absolutely detest that mentality from places that board horses, because I know what they're doing. I know why they're doing it. And I can tell you straight out that I think here is what I would suggest. So you'd have your own information on this, is to do some research on how the horses digestive system works. Because you can hear it from me, but it doesn't mean it's real. It doesn't mean it's true fact. right? But if you do your own research on it, I believe you will discover that the horse's stomach produces, if I remember correctly, it produces one of those 5-gallon buckets, the ones you carry around with water or grain or something like that, handle, produces one of those per day of acid. So when a horse gets a couple of flakes, either in a feed or free fed, essentially what you've told me is they're free fed a couple of flakes at 10 o'clock and 6 o'clock. Now this is not uncommon. I have some good friends actually that feed horses just like that. And they consider that too much, unbelievably. So the idea being that if I were you, I would actually consider this idea. So go there at 10 o'clock when they feed, and then time your horses how long it takes them to finish 2 flakes. My guess is if I were to give 2 flakes to my horses here, they'd be done in an hour. Yeah. Especially banana. So let's give them a couple hours. And then a couple hours to work that out of the stomach and into the intestines. So if we do the morning feed, 10 o'clock. Hey, Rex. Good to see you, buddy. You should come back. Well, maybe not right now, but you should come back sometime. I don't know if Rex is going to introduce himself, but he's a pretty cool guy. Let's put it that way. At least I think he is. So anyhow, if we imagine that 2 flakes is gone and eaten in 2 hours and maybe a couple hours for digestion, we've reached 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then there's 4 hours of empty stomach. They get 2 more flakes at 6, which they are now very hungry and the stomach acid is starting to build up. And they've got maybe a quarter of a bucket of acid in their stomach, waiting for hay to neutralize it. Sorry. So they munch that down as fast as they can, and it probably takes a little less than 2 hours now. Actually, the morning one probably went even faster. What am I talking about? The evening one will go a little bit slower than the morning one, because now you've maybe they've spent. So let's just put it back at 4 hours. So they're done by 10 o'clock, right? And then they get fed again at 10 the next day, which is 12 hours of an empty stomach. So you probably got a good half bucket of acid that's been building that whole time. Their stomach is full of acid. It has to be, if the articles that I have read are correct, which I believe they are. So I'll leave it up to you, Lisa, to do some research on that. So now they've got a full stomach of acid. So along with the likely painful feeling that would come from that, we also have to consider that their intestines are emptying out as well. And so come 10 o'clock, they get this couple of flakes of dry hay that quickly goes into their stomach, and their stomach quickly processes it and quickly puts it into the intestine, where it has a chance of being bunched up into a ball or something a little bit harder. And this is one of the causes of colic in horses, actually. Obviously, when the intestines or the stomach has a problem, the digestive system has a problem, that is what colic is defined. And so, do I think it's dangerous for a horse? My answer is 100% I think it's dangerous for a horse to have that type of diet schedule. So, that's my answer. They get it done in about 1 to 2 hours. I'm learning, but know they need food available at all times. The other boarder and I are going to the owner with our concerns about feeding. Now, that's great. I know plenty of people. I know a lot of horse people, I guess. that have gone to a owner of a boarding facility who says, I'm not going to do hay bags, they're too much work. I'm not interested in that. It's actually one of my concerns of this horse that I'm working with that bucks everybody off, is he is being fed in the same kind of schedule. So I approached the owner, I did tell him, I said, look, these are my concerns. I have concerns about this, this, and this. And one of those things was feeding. You're going to have a horse that quite possibly is going to be a little bit grumpier come work time because the feeding schedule is such that it is not conducive to good health. And this is why. And he was very receptive, great guy. So that was good. But I know people that go to boarding facilities and they say, we're not going to do that. You can do it yourself, but we're not going to do it. But you're allocated 4 flakes per day for your horse. That's the maximum you're going to get. And that thought process in and of itself, to me, is wrong. There's some ridiculous number out there that horses need 2 to 2.5% of their body weight of hay. I think it's false. I think it's closer to 4. I think it's between 3 and 4% is a healthy amount of hay for a horse to have. I've been practicing that for years, and none of my horses are in bad shape whatsoever. I think Lena's the only tub, but you know, she's always been a tub. I can't get rid of her tub. It doesn't matter what I do. The owners then go about buying their own hay bags, stuffing their own hay bags, and plenty of them buy their own hay in conjunction with the full board hay that they're already paying for the benefit of their horse. More and more people start to complain, and sooner or later, the boarding facility has to make a change, and they do. A couple of them I know that have. But that is becoming more and more common. It's becoming more and more accepted that hay bags are the way to go. It's the safest and healthiest way to feed a horse. And to be honest, I find it's the easiest way in the end, because I really generally, not always, but generally only have to deal with these guys once and a half, I'd say 1.5 times per day. It's not like I do big feeds twice a day or anything. They get fed, and those hay bags last. They get fed a lot in there, and they last all day, or sorry, all night. And then come morning, as you guys see in videos, once in a while they're out, but most of the time they still have a bit left in there, which means they've been calm and quiet all night long, munching away, maybe some co-grooming going on here and there. But they're quiet, just like right now. Everybody's quiet, eating. And I think that's very healthy, not just for their body, but for their mind. So that's what I would say, that it isn't just a physical thing. It is absolutely a mental thing. And if you have to go ahead and buy your own hay bags in the beginning, and that might be the way it is. And hay bags are a pain. I hate them personally, but there's sort of like a love-hate relationship in a way. But the idea is that they can graze. They can eat slowly a long, long time. So. Penny says Lena's not a tub, she's big boned. Yeah. Isis is using 3 hay nets right now, always some left over. It's fantastic. Horses get calmer, they're happier, they're easier to work with. Isis, you did have a question. What was that? Sorry. How do you get them? You're welcome, Lisa. And you know, you're not in an unusual position. So the stuff that I talk about, I do. I mean, that's why I do a morning horsey check. When I come out, you're seeing what this place looks like. Normally, anybody were to show up, they would see that. So, Isis says, how do you get them to do what you do? How do you get them to want to do what you ask without fighting? Where's the give and take? How does that all work? Well, great question. Reasonably common question. Something I think about an awful lot as well. How do I get this horse to want to do what I want to do? So the easiest answer I can give, which is not an easy thing to do, I think maybe, ooh, that almost fell over. Go that way. Damn it, there's too much smoke. Come here, wood. You're gonna fall over. There you go. Talking to the wood. So the easiest answer I can give you for that is consistency. And for example, I have some students work with Luke, and the reason I have people work with Luke is because he's a pain in the butt. And the reason he's a pain in the butt is because of me. I am inconsistent with Luke, right up to the point that I'm consistent. And then he kind of gets on board with what I'm asking, but it's a fight. It's an argument here and there. It's and it's stupid, and I know it. I'm inconsistent with Luke, and I say this a reasonable amount. I'm doing videos, or probably when I'm teaching as well. And I'll say, Luke is my biggest pain in the butt, but he's my best teacher for people. And I've made him that way. It's my fault. It's kind of not really that good, but at the same time, he's such a good boy about so many things that, and he's good for me. So, but there's plenty of times when I got to have a bit of an argument with a guy. Yeah, and that's why I did that 7-day training thing. Because I knew I needed to resolve, but then I did more after that, but, and then of course my time gets taken up with other horses and other things. So but everybody else follows the rules, especially other people's horses, because there's consistency. I'm consistent. I don't get I'm never wishy-washy with other people's horses, and I'm very rarely wishy-washy with Gracie, Roni, and Lena. I think Lena is probably the other horse I get a little wishy-washy on, but Luke is my worst because he's my first. Well, he's my second horse, but sort of my first that I've had for so long, and so I've always kind of treated him a little bit different for that. So that lack of consistency is causing me trouble. It causes other people that work with him trouble. But with everybody else, I'm regimented, kind of. I follow a set of rules that says, don't get in my way, don't push me, don't bug me, don't lose track of me, pay attention to me. And it's just super duper consistent. So I'd say that there's a good case that it's hard to do it with your own horse, but you'll have a lot more luck doing it with, speak from experience, with other people's horses maybe. As you don't have a relationship of being wishy-washy like I do with Luke. And he knows that there's going to be times when he can just kind of bump into me or scratch his head on me, and I'm like, fine. But at the same time, he's incredibly responsive when he knows that I'm fed up with goofing off. It's like, it's time to work. Get to it right now. So that's why he becomes my go-to horse, because we can communicate like that. So that might be something that you'd come down to, but you'd sort of have to accept that there'll have to be a little argument up until the point that there isn't an argument, so that you can have that bit of wishy-washiness and back and forth relationship. So in a way, I'm I feel very close to Luke for that. Like I feel feel very good about how we are together. But at the same time, there is a little bit of lack of peace for the horse, I think. The wind is picking up a little bit. Does that make any sense, Isis? Yeah. Try to get Luke go in a circle. Yeah. Luke's a good teacher. Training lasts if it's reinforced as needed. You do that. Yeah. I think there are plenty. The interesting thing is there's some things that I won't do with a horse for long. Roni's a great example. I rarely work with him, but when I do, boy, he gets in line so fast. Usually when doing the Liberty, he's usually the horse in the front. He's staying in line, he's doing well, but now he's sort of preoccupied with trying to get Lena to go away so he doesn't lose her and stuff like that. But he's tip top. And groundwork, he's amazing. Good memory. So not always do I have to, I mean, reinforced is needed, sure is subjective. And some horses don't need it at all. Very little. You get it done and it's done and it just sticks. That stickiness is what really matters. Yeah. So David said something. I rode Luke for the first time last week and he was more challenging in a good learning kind of way. My husband John says hi and great fire. Yeah, thanks, John. It is a great fire. It is running low though. I've actually burnt through my whole wagon, which is good. That was my goal tonight. But yeah, it's true, as needed. So I was actually teaching recently, and it was a new horse to that person. And she says, well, what do I do? I said, well, you'll need to have a checklist of things that you need to be able to do as you work with every new horse to you. And it should be a very consistent set of rules that you are asking the horse to do. And it starts literally with catching them. Can you catch them? Do they care that you're there? Can you put a halter on without their head going up? Can you put a halter on without them trying to bite you? Can you tie it without them getting worried? Are they scared when you touch the top of their head or face? And it starts from there. Then when you do get the halter on, will they follow you when you go to lead them? Do they leave when you ask them to leave the area because you've got to hold them on a halter? When you go through gates, do they run you over? Do they try to get through the gate too fast? It's all still just leading. You haven't even made it to the arena yet. Get to the arena and you along the way, that horse has maybe tried to cut you off because it wants to go get some grass. It's not paid any attention because it wants to look at a horse that it would rather go hang out with. Doesn't want to go to the arena because it associates it with no food or a place to work. How do all those things happen in those checklists? And I'd say that I find myself getting far more done when every step along the way is solid. I don't create any gaps. If I could get rid of the gaps all along the way, so when I go to halter, they put their head in the halter. When I go to tie it, they stand there quietly. They don't nudge me, they don't chew on the halter, they don't chew on the rope, they don't put their head up, they don't get worried, they don't get scared. They just wait patiently. When I go to walk away, that lead rope does not go tight at all. They just follow. And they follow on the side that I expect them to be on. Like a trailer on a truck. They just stay there. So this checklist is going through my head all the time, mainly because I concentrate. What's going on over there? I concentrate on safety so much. I don't want to get squished. I cannot believe how quiet the road is. I haven't heard a car go by in so long. Oh, the frogs have started. Yay. 10:15. Interesting, interesting. What makes the frogs start at like 10 o'clock? They all got a watch on. Like, hey guys, it's 10. Let's get croaking. So, um, yeah, that checklist is constant. And then, maybe that all checks out. We get into the arena. I'm like, okay, let's get moving. And at that point, I'm doing my groundwork. I mean, groundwork already started with leading, but I do some real groundwork, some driving stuff and moving around. And I'll see how advanced I can get in this driving and making sure that they're not trying to whack me with their tail or give me some sour expression. And all along the way, I'm saying thanks. How are they receiving that thanks? Do they reach into it? Are they welcoming? When I reach for them, are they asking me to give a little scratch somewhere, perhaps? All of these things matter. So ISIS, it's a long answer to a small question, but that consistency will pay off on times when you need it. But if all along the way they're wonky, they don't follow straight, they pull on the lead rope, they try to eat grass, they go and yell at another horse, they don't go through a gate properly, they step towards you too far, they're not lining their feet up with you, they're going too fast or too slow, you're having to pull, you're having to back them, any of those things will inhibit any further progress. So when I capture a horse at any point in time, if they're giving me any trouble, other than to just come along with me as peacefully as possible, and I too will be as peaceful as possible, then we'll sort it out. Making sense? Sorry, my phone turned off. I'm not even looking at it. Give me your phone. What do we got? Jessica says, I think the best horseback riding experience I had was when I was 18 years old and I rode a 16-3 purebred Appaloosa, and he was very well trained to the point where I could easily give him directions. Yeah, well-trained horses are nice, eh? Susan's here. A couple of people have asked where Jen is. She's at home. Hello, Susan. So yeah, Isis, does that help? Does that assist in? I mean, is there any other detail I could provide? On the topic. It's a big topic. You'll have to come and hang out a little and give some direction. Actually, I was just explaining to another girl about working with any horses here. It's actually difficult for me to show trouble because all the horses here are so darn good. They're just good horses. And so I don't struggle with too much with them. Yeah, it's super nice. I mean, the only horse that I kind of struggle a little bit is with Rue. When I go to bring him into the arena, and he just keeps plodding on past me. He doesn't stop when I stop because he just doesn't. Again, I think there's a part of me that just thinks he's just a little toddler, and he says like, "Oh, I'm in the arena. Here we are. Well, I guess I'll just keep walking. How come you're not walking anymore?" It's like, Rue, stop, back up, and we'll do it again. So when I did that on the live stream. If anybody caught that, but I brought him in. I think he was the first horse, wasn't he? No, he wasn't. Who was first? Peggy was first, maybe. Anyhow, doesn't matter. So I go to bring him in, and he leads nice, he follows nice, he does everything good. Bring him in, and he just saunters past me, even though I've stopped. Every other horse stops. They all know to stop. So I would stop him, and I'd back him up 1 or 2 paces, pet him, say, thanks for stopping finally. Thanks for backing up when I ask you. Let's do this again. So we'd leave, he'd follow along nicely, turn him around, go back, make it halfway through the gate, stop, he stops. Walk forward a couple more paces, stop, he stops. Then I let him go. Pet him on the way away. Say, thanks, pal. You're a good horsey. Best horsey ever. So, yeah, something like that. That's what I think about. Rex, what am I drinking? It's mostly Pepsi. Penny says, thanks for your question, Isis. Your answer was fabulous. Never ever hurts to hear the basics. You could try to work with an untouched Mustang. That'd be a great challenge for your horsemanship. I agree, Jessica, 100%. I did have a Mustang here for a couple months, and it certainly wasn't an untouched Mustang, but the touching that was done had sort of sent it backwards. So despite being trained, what's going on? There's a lot of shuffling going on. Stop shuffling. Okay, they settled down. I told them what for. Despite being a horse that had been trained by a few people, it still took me 2 weeks to get the halter off that had been on for a year. And then another few days to get one back on properly. Enough so that I could finally get out into the arena and let the poor thing go, run around. But until then, it was not going to be a possibility, because unless I can catch it, I'm certainly not going to let it go in the arena. I'll never get it back again, or I'll get exhausted doing it. You know, I don't want to have to trap it. So we worked it out in the shelter, in the first paddock here, big first paddock. Okay, wind, blow some other direction. So I definitely wish I could get a Mustang, but I'd have to get one from the States, which I think would be hard. So the other thought that's been going through my mind, and I've had some assistance with, actually from ISIS as well, was we've got some wild horses here in Canada. And actually one of the things we were going to do, Sean and I, Sean Davies, or goes by Colorado Rainsman on YouTube, who I went and visited last year for 4 days. We did some stuff. We were going to do a challenge where he'd get, I mean, he's going to kick my butt hands down, I think. He's got so much more experience with wild horses than I do. But we were going to do a challenge where he'd get a Mustang and I'd go get some Canadian Wildie, and we would do an online YouTube wild horse training challenge kind of thing, just for fun. He's a great guy. That'd be kind of fun, but I don't have a space for one at the moment, especially. And I'm waiting for that to happen a bit. So we'll see. So yeah, Jessica, I think it's a great idea. Susan says, Rue was sort of a social misfit before he got here, wasn't he? No, Rue was not a social misfit before he got here. You might have him mixed up with somebody else, but he was actually reasonably social. He had good fun with some boys. The last place he was at. He had some good friends there. They goofed off a lot. In fact, he was sort of the equivalent of Luke. He was the pain in the butt that would pester the other horses. So that was interesting to me, because I didn't really see him that way here. Of course, you guys didn't either, because he wasn't that way. But he was that way elsewhere. What else we got to check on here? I feel like I want to put on a couple more pieces. There's another one here. Okay, this might be the last piece. So yeah, I definitely want to get sort of a wild one, but we'll see. We'll see. A lot of plans, a lot of ideas. Takes money as well. Sean is posting videos again. Yeah, he's posted a few. I really give him a hard time. So I don't know if he's doing anything because I give him a hard time, but we've talked quite a bit on videos and materials to use, like materials like equipment to use, and how easy it is to do sort of live streams and stuff. He should do that as well, I think. Wildies in BC and Alberta, yeah. You also need higher fences for Mustangs. Ah, okay. And also, do you need a round pen sometimes? No, I don't want a round pen. And you need higher fences. So I agree that there is definitely some safety in making sure you have 6-foot fences, but I've been wondering about that an awful lot. Now I'm just going to make some random thoughts about it. And I think that higher fencing was a requirement because a lot of training methods push them hard enough to be scared enough to climb a fence. And so 4-foot fences aren't enough. 5-foot fences, I think, were bare minimum. 6-foot fences were recommended, or I think required. Anybody know? But I think that if you can work with them so they don't feel like they have to climb the fence, that would be better. And I've seen Sean do a lot of stuff where he hasn't had to make a horse climb a fence. But they're pretty afraid. So I think it's a good safety measure. And so as in such a case, I don't have any 6-foot fences here. In fact, when I ended up looking around to try to find fencing for such an endeavor, it's actually quite hard. So actually, the statement about do you need a round pen? I don't want a round pen. I've done a big spiel about round pens. But they are strong because they're round, don't have corners. So physics states that a sphere is a very strong object because it's got equal pressure on all parts of it. So a round pen as well also is quite strong because it doesn't have any corners. So when you attach these things together, it has equal strength on every part of it. So I think in that regard, it is better than something with corners. But so one of my ideas was actually to somehow fund and purchase a 60-foot round pen, or well, maybe not 60-foot, maybe a big for what I want to do. Maybe a 50-foot round pen with 6-foot panels, 6-foot high panels, and set it up in the arena so I can take it back down. When I'm done with that, take it back down, put it away, get it out of the way. But I could easily fit a 60-foot round pen in there with space left over, or 50-foot with space left over. So it's something that's gone through my mind for that particular purpose. Yeah. I could also fit one in the back arena as well. So I'd have a 6-foot round pen, 6-foot high round pen inside a covered area, which would be even better. So something that goes through my mind, but they're expensive. I think it'd be quite a hefty amount. So I do know I have a connection in the fencing world, but I think even she said it's a custom made deal and be a little bit pricey. So, well, Rex is out. Later, buddy. Thanks for checking in. Good to see you. Good to hear from you. Hope you stay safe too. Susan says, mine could jump 6 feet. You have to have 6-foot fence to dot one from the BLM. Yeah, I thought so, yeah. Could jump a 6-foot? You only need just a little bit to get over it? Jeez. Yeah, you don't want that. So, something to think about. Sorry, just a quick message there to get back to. David, I see you sent me a message. I shall get back to you shortly. You could put up temps for round pen. Yeah, that would be the point. Yeah, that's what I would do, Susan. Sean uses the round pen a lot. I agree, he does. I see the benefit in that regard, but my problem with round pens is actually I think they're a cheat for humans, because the horse never has an escape. So I see Sean doing a lot of stuff in paddocks as well, and him and I talked about it quite a bit, and he doesn't care. I mean, round pens are more convenience. There is some benefit of having no corners, but I think we came into an agreement. They're a little bit of a cheat because the horse, there's no real escape. A horse can escape to a corner kind of thing, and then you have to be really careful. In a round pen, you can kind of be a little less careful, slightly more lazy in not trapping the horse, because it's kind of impossible to trap a horse in a round pen because it's round. So I don't have a round pen here because I don't train that in that method. I don't chase horses around. In fact, when I do my liberty work, I, as plenty of you have probably seen, when I do my liberty work, and just the other day I chased around my maximum, which was 9 horses. I got all 9 horses going. Or did I only do 8? I think it was 9. Got them all in a liberty circle. And it's not a round pen, which means I had to put in an effort to get these guys to curl around and turn, rather than being forced to do it because they're in a round pen. But it wasn't too long before I had an actual, and I've done it plenty of times with 2, 3, 4 horses kind of idea, and it's pretty easy to do with 1 horse. In only half the arena. They wouldn't even use the full arena. But you got to make an effort to do it. You really got to connect in properly. And round pens, I think, limit that. Personally, I think. So you don't know if you're screwing up because the horse can't show you. But in a large arena, they can show you. They don't care. They want to leave. So I'm always having to chase them down. Like, no, get back into the circle. Roni and Lena were a great example in my latest one a couple of days ago or so. So that's why I don't use a round pen, because I want to know when I'm screwing up, when I don't have draw. So. Thanks, Jessica. 6-foot fence. It's hard to get them from the BLM up here. It's a lot of work, and especially right now, it'd probably be impossible. Obviously, borders are closed right now between Canada and the States, other than for essentials. Yeah. So, a grand idea indeed. I'll see if I can get on with that. It's quiet, except for the frogs. I don't have my other microphones, so you probably won't hear them this time around. Tried to get a link to the website. That's okay. We can't do anything about it right now anyways. Well, I'm in Canada. Can't get anything from the States other than food. So I'm just looking at Peggy. She sort of glows at nighttime because she's a light color, but Nanner's dark. Can't see her at all. No reflection. Just gonna take a quick glance. I shall be right back. Weird. Peggy's just sort of staring off into the woods. Nanner's staring the other way. Rue's staring into the woods. They're all quiet. It's like maybe they hear something out there, which would not surprise me in the least. I don't hear anything though. I don't see anything, obviously. My human eyes are inferior in this case, especially hanging out next to a fire. Okay. Susan says, I wish you would put Roni in with another male, not Luke, and get him away from the girls. All right. Well, I could probably. What for? What do you want me to do that for? He even goes after Luke now about Lena. Yeah, but Roni would just run to the back of the arena and pay attention to Lena. I don't know. He's always been like that. That's why I try to separate him as often as possible. But right now, I can't. So Buck Bremen seems to use a larger open area, often with other horses around. It's true. Yeah, I've seen him do. He does a lot of round pen work. I think that's primarily his go-to place as well. It's very common. Round pens are easy. Because the idea for, I mean, I've got some stuff from Ray Hunt on DVD, and he is constantly in a round pen as well. And you use what you've learned, you use what your teachers do. And you use what's on hand. You know, round pens are training areas. It does make it easier, and it could probably expedite the training process in some cases. So I get that. I understand that. I want to know a little bit more of where I'm screwing up. So I tend to not use a round pen. So that's my thought process about it, and good or bad, right or wrong. So yeah, did Susan answer? Yeah. Not sure why you want me to separate out Roni. He's possessive. He really likes her. It makes him feel good. Brings him peace to be with her. You know, and I take him away and stuff. And I bet there's times when I've put him with a different horse, a different girl, usually, and he's just got a preference. He's got a favorite. So anyhow, I don't know. If you want to let me know why you're thinking about it, let me know. Lisa says, my husband's watching for the first time, wants to know if the biceps from weights or handling horses. Fending off the girls, man. Just kidding. When I was younger, I did a lot of working out, but I don't work out at all anymore. I fix things and do maintenance and handle horses. I try my best not to have to use too much power of any sorts for horses. I don't actually find myself, I find my legs are more physically affected by working with horses than my arms, for sure, because I'm not really sort of manhandling them much around if I don't have to whatsoever, but more from picking up logs or putting in posts or building shelters and lifting roof pieces and stuff like that. But hay bales, hay bags, yeah, that kind of thing. Does that make any sense? Thanks. I'll take that as a compliment. He just sees hearts when he sees Lena. Yeah, absolutely. Penny says, it should be interesting you work a wildie. I worry that you would need more time than you have with 9 horses. Roni seems like he's been a bully. Whew. Well, if nobody comes anywhere near him, he doesn't care at all. He just wants to protect his status with Lena. He doesn't want to be alone. I don't find that he really kind of goes about making himself a pest to anybody. But I can understand a little bit of how you see it. He's yeah, I'm not sure if I quite see it the same way as you. And I don't think I would really either way be able to change. I mean, obviously, I've had him separated from Lena for a long time. And as soon as I put him back in with her, he's back to just the way he always is. And so it doesn't really have an effect on him to shift that around. Even though I've tried. So I know what you're thinking. I know what you feel. I think, oh man, you're way too possessive over Lena. You should knock that off. And so I've given it a shot to see if I could get that to stop or be less. And he just keeps it up. Yeah. So it's frustrating from my standpoint as well. I'd like him to not be like that. There's plenty of times when I've sort of left him till last and sort of have him be apart from Lena while I put everybody else in and stuff like that. But it's so temporary. He just doesn't, it's the best way to put it. He doesn't seem to feel confident, maybe. Maybe he is very worried about losing yeah, his status without having to have a fight. He's not a fighter anymore. He used to be a little bit rougher. Now he just fakes it a lot, which is kind of funny. So that was the point you're trying to make. Yeah, I mean, I feel it. I understand what you're kind of going about. He used to love to play with Luke, and now he doesn't. I agree. He isn't playing as much because he's so possessive, and so it's starting to bug me as well, because even if I don't put the girls out and I just put the boys out, it's a bit of an effort to get him to just go play. But we don't know exactly what's going on. I mean, maybe he feels like he needs to protect Lena, or he needs to keep an eye out. I mean, we've commented on whether or not Ruli feels like she's strong enough to be comfortable, so she has no friends kind of thing. So maybe Ruli's or not Ruli, maybe Roni's a bit of a protector. And he says, I know what needs to be done. I'm going to protect, but I don't know about that either, because he's always hiding behind the girls. I don't know. Yeah, wish I knew. I don't. So if anybody else has any great ideas, let me know. Oh, Penny's got something. What do we got? Jessica says Roni's just being a horse and displaying normal horse behavior, as well as, especially because he's a gelding and still has that instinct. Yeah, but we have other geldings here. None of them sort of, well, I guess Luke does. Yeah, he's got 2 girls. See, I understand Rose because I feel the same way about Lena, but I love Gracie too. She makes me chuckle. Lena makes me sigh. That's nice. Yeah, Roni's not as playful with the boys. He seems to be more girl-centric for some reason. Gracie has enough spirit for everybody. Yeah. Lena looks comfortable with Roni's attention. Sometimes she does, and other times it seems like she could use a break. go hang out with somebody else and not be sort of forced to hang around with him as much as he's asking for. So I don't know. But overall, I mean, it's okay. Not a big deal in the end. Whew. Almost done this fire. Probably let it burn out. It is 10:45. I suppose I should turn in. Yep, I think I probably will. But hopefully that's answered a bunch of questions, some thoughts and all that kind of good stuff. It's been wonderful having everybody here while I get rid of this maple tree that destroyed one of my shelters. Isis likes Roni a lot. I like Roni a lot too. I think he's a great horse to be with and work with. He's a great connector. He checks in. What I find that I really like the most about him is when you're with him and you've got him caught or whatever, and he's there. He's constantly trying to check in, and it's almost like he's asking you each and every step of the way, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing the right thing? Is everything cool? Is it good? Are we good? Are you happy? I'm happy. Do you feel happy? Kind of thing. And I really like that about him quite a bit. So, yeah. David, good point. Did Roni's play behavior with the boys change when Skip showed up? Yeah, I do think that Roni has shifted when there's more boys around that can challenge him, especially Skip. He did play with Rue. That's right. Yeah, when Skip showed up, he's a little bit more defensive and careful about things. So great point, David. Susan says, thanks for doing the chat. Tell Jen we missed her. I will. Yeah, I'm going to end that now. I'm going to try to finish that edit before heading off to bed a little bit later. And you guys can see some sleepy horses, I guess, probably when you wake up. But thanks for popping in. Great questions. Great chitty chat. It's been good. Finally getting a little bit more of this maple. It's supposed to rain tomorrow, so when it's not raining, I'll be back for more. Burning of the maple tree and some chitty chat. I like fireside chats. They're nice. So, yes, everybody sleep well if you're on this side of the earth. And stay safe, and we'll talk to you guys again really soon. And again, I really appreciate everybody popping in. It's good company. So I'll check on Zeus too. He's probably still sleeping anyways. So good night, and see you guys again tomorrow.